Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Welcome. We are here morning, noon and night, aren't we? So if we can ask you to do us a really easy favor, if you could just press subscribe, that really helps us and really helps us to maintain our efforts to keep putting the heart into what is going on in the world. And through the eyes of normal human beings rather than psychopathic political leaders and journalists that seem to all be, well, most of them, not all, seem to be thoroughly stitched up by Israel. So please hit that subscribe button and please share these videos on Gaza and Iran and Israel, because that's how the information is getting out. And it will make everything they do harder, the more awake the world is to their shenanigans.
We were talking earlier today about the sudden increase in independent media versus legacy mainstream media. What legacy mainstream media refers to are things like the BBC, ITV. We're going to be talking about. We're going to talk about the compromised BBC in this live. And we'd like to think that we are also positioning ourselves within this sort of independent media from the perspective of, we were kind of like talking about how we would describe it. It's not journalism in the sense of journalistic journalism, and it's not just commentary, but I think we try to get to the emotional. We try and do a sort of emotional journalism.
Yeah, what it feels to be like a human being, to be watching what's going on. And we don't, there aren't two sides to a genocide. There aren't two sides to unprovoked attack. So we're very strong in our position, and we always encourage people to talk to us about what their position is. As long as people aren't rude, we love to hear other people's opinions. We really do. But I am unshakable on what I believe Israel is doing to the world at the moment.
I think it's
I feel it. I feel it really, really deeply. It's look at my hands. Look at my eczema. It's all up. I feel it so deeply every day, 20, 30 times a day. I'm just, just screwed up inside and just mentally and everything with what's going on. And then when Mark, well, you were going to say how confused they all seem to be.
Well, it's the situation is confusing. We did a live last night. It felt, if I was a sort of gambling person last night, I very much felt like Trump was going to make a decision in the night to use the bunker bombs, engage in some kind of movement against Iran.
Can I just ask one thing? What is a bunker bomb?
It's a 300-ton, is it? I think it's one of the heaviest bombs you can use. And before. Well, let me just describe it because you've asked what it is. Yeah. It's one of the heaviest bombs there is that can, and it's a bunker. It bombs a bunker. It goes through the earth.
Like they were using in Syria.
But but on a completely different level. Right. Only America has them. Only America has 2 planes that can drop them because they are so heavy. Imagine you're carrying.
God.
And the point is that they're the only things that they feel could completely disrupt a mile deep Iranian nuclear site. Let's just pause for a moment, because that's the most likely operation that the Americans are going to do. This is what we're all sitting here going, oh, what are they going to do? They've already intercepted some missiles, but if they attack the Iranian nuclear site, is it Foya? I forget the name of it, the really deep one under the mountain. No one's even asking this question. That's incredibly dangerous. It's all well and good just saying no one has got, they talked about in Iraq, what's day one after you've gone into Iraq? What's day one after you've toppled the regime? No one had a day one there. No one had a day one in Libya. It's become, and it still is, absolutely lawless in many parts of the country. There isn't a day one after this. No one has stopped to think, we might need to use everyone's got obsessed with bunker bombs and talking about bunker bombs and will America. But if they're successful, Nadia, they are going to create an enormous nuclear disaster, which no one is talking about. Now, that will effectively mean Iran won't have done that. The Americans will have done it. This is the part
Israel and America will have done
Israel,
it.
Of course.
Every accusation is a confession.
So that's the lunacy of this. So I saw Emma Staple. I know so many members of our long-standing, long-term community, very nervous, very, very worried. we've talked a lot about how, look, you know, if you think what's happening in Gaza is not just a sort of regional thing and it isn't, you know, isn't going to reach to our doors, it is. This hasn't quite got to our doors yet, but it's getting broader, it's getting wider, and it's getting larger. We have stories today like China's had 3 huge flights or airplanes land on the borders with Iran. Allegedly, the suggestion being, could be propaganda, you've got to be mindful of this, are they shipping armaments, armory into Iran? Are we looking at some kind of tacit agreement and support, military support from China? Russia is coming out with increasingly stronger kind of language in their pushback with America, saying, do not get involved. They have a military pact with Iran. Kim Jong-un in North Korea has said that he will readily support the Iranian cause. Now, in defense of Iran, Iran hasn't necessarily reached for any of these yet. All Iran keeps saying at the moment, regardless of what you think of the regime, is, hang on a minute, guys, we were about to go to discuss this with Trump. This is what everyone's just choosing to forget. This is the part of it that I find absolutely staggeringly arrogant.
Well, not on independent media. You do see people keep on reminding us of that.
But you have to keep being reminded. We have to keep reminding ourselves. The fact is, Israel provoked this.
Absolutely. At
a point that Iran were about to sit down with the Americans and discuss how they had no intention of developing weapons grade nuclear, you know, uranium or what have you. As
Jeremy Corbyn said yesterday, there's no bones about it. You're not allowed to preemptively strike, and they have broken international law again. But it becomes like this. Israel, international law, whatever Israel does, it's just sort of muted out, isn't it? Any other country, imagine if an Arab country had done this. I mean, my God.
Yeah. Well, let's just pop
all
this
hell
up.
would be letting loose on them, but no.
Donald Trump has really proudly said this. Nobody knows what I'm going to do.
Can we add? Not even you.
Not even me. And he's actually said, this is no exaggeration, he actually said this in his most recent comment. He basically, you know, the flagpole that he wanted to get his flag up, and he was comparing it to someone's train, or Gavin Newsom's train. I've got my flagpole up. Anyway, he was putting the flag up on his new flagpole. And he said, I don't even know what I'm going to do. All I know is that I'm going to do it. And when I do it, it's going to be in the moment, and I'm just going to say it. I mean, he is a fucking moron.
It's terrifying.
What he's trying to do
is terrifying.
He's pretending that this is clever, because he's often said in the past, why do we telegraph to the world what we're about to do? So he thinks he's being clever by going, I'm not telling anyone. I know what I'm going to do. Pete Hegseth is running around.
I saw him earlier saying, Iran rang me and said that they wanted to talk. And I said, well, I gave you a chance. Why didn't you talk to me before? He's
saying it's too late. So this is
too late for what? Too late for what? Because now I'm really, really angry. Well, are you going to destroy the world because of that?
He's saying it's too late, but Iran weren't going to be late to the nuclear discussions. No. They were heading there.
I know.
They haven't been, to be honest with you, even though they've decapitated and killed all the nuclear scientists in Iran, they weren't late to the meeting.
And they don't have any nuclear weapons. Iran does not have any nuclear weapons. And Netanyahu's been saying this for 30 years, that they're going to come in a minute. It's his dream. This is his dream being realized. And what's so brilliant for him is, while his dream in Iran of a greater Israel dreams are coming true, his big, big dream of destroying every last Gazan genocide is happening too, a little bit behind the curtains, because everyone's worrying about a nuclear war. So he's as happy as a pig in stinking shit.
He's got a huge problem, and this is why Trump keeps saying I don't know what I'm going to do, and when I do know, I'm not going to tell anyone. I mean, this is where we're going to be. We might get to a situation where he's standing, Nadia, in the Rose Garden of the White House, and he goes, and the question is, do you know what you're going to do, sir? And he goes, I do. I know what I'm going to do. What are you going to do? I'm not telling anyone. I mean, he might get to the point where
okay. So we know he's a narcissistic sociopath,
yes.
Right? I'm very good at diagnosing narcissistic psychopaths, and this is my layman's diagnosis. But surely even a narcissistic sociopath doesn't want the world to end. Or is his hubris so great that he thinks he'll survive anything?
If I'm brutally honest, I think he will. I think America will. I think the problem we all have, and the reason America has run roughshod across the globe, is that America is sufficiently far enough away. When you look at the map in one direction, it's sufficiently far enough away from all this European Middle East stuff. To be fair to America, America have huge concerns looking the other way. What you have to do is take a globe and move it around. We tend to look at a very Eurocentric map. The map kind of pivots around the UK.
But Mark, Europe is very important for the global economy. Of course it is. So you can't really say it's just a map of geography, because like if you destabilize one half of the world so completely, he's going to lose money. We know that, but him and Vance and all his fucking acolytes, they must know that.
But they're cowboys. They're charging around on fucking horses with great big guns.
He's written a really good book, J.D. Vance.
They've made a great film of it. I cried watching the trailer, the Hillbilly Elegy.
I mean, he's not stupid.
Look, none of them are stupid.
He's a very educated man.
Let me explain why there's a pause. I'll tell you exactly why the bunker bomb hasn't happened yet. Is because in America, this is really splitting Trump's base.
That's what all the pundits say.
It's splitting his base. Yeah. It's splitting many of his politicians. We've got Republicans and Bernie Sanders are bringing in bills and laws that means that he would have to get a vote in the Senate before any kind of conflict could be engaged in. So that's a big deal. This isn't a given. He hasn't, he's got some around him that are desperate for him to go in and go hard, but he's also got a whole heap of other people who aren't that interested in it at all, because for them, America first is about shut the doors, keep it insular. Let's think about ourselves. Let's tariff the fuck out of everyone else. And let's just get on with being Americans. And do you know what? In some small way, if America could make that work, no disrespect to the many Americans that we've got here, and we love it. We love Americans and American culture.
Can't see when we'd ever go to America.
No, I can't. But if America could shut the doors and stop fucking up the rest of the world, I think that would be quite a nice thing.
Well, we've been wanting that forever.
It would be lovely. I mean, don't get me wrong.
They are responsible for so, and it's like somebody said today. Okay, so Iran has sold weapons at some point to Hamas. It's not absolute knowledge that they have continuously, weaponized them.
No.
And they were saying, who was it? Was it Jeremy Corbyn? I can't remember who it was now. Saying, if we were to go around the world punishing all those countries or regimes that have sold weapons to other countries and regimes that aren't completely, where would America stand?
Well,
where would Britain stand? Where would Britain stand? He who hath not sinned cast the first bloody stone.
Oh, hang on, listen. I can hear the latex squeak of Keir Starmer in a Cobra meeting. Yeah, he's getting on his latex clobber, and he's getting ready to give permission to Trump, because apparently the planes that need to take off to do the bunker bombing, I think, are they in the Chagos Islands? There's something we own the island. We have jurisdiction. The only way America can actually use their bunker bombing bombers, is if we say yes.
Right. And the reason why our humanitarian lawyer who called the genocide in Serbia can't say the word for what's going on in Gaza is why, because he would have to be deemed complicit and he'd have to end up in an international court of law.
Can I just say, does anyone here know? I mean, we know lots of, we're liaising with a lot of kind of aid agencies, charities, activists, humanitarians, and independent journalists. I hope someone somewhere is keeping a full and detailed record of every single atrocity, because as someone rightly says, we are going to talk about Gaza, the Gaza genocide. They have put their foot down to the floor when it comes to the gas pedal, and more people are being killed in the most horrendous circumstances as they pursue aid and they seek boxes in this Hunger Game. I mean, unfortunately, it is like a meat grinding situation there. They call it a meat grinder war when, like in Ukraine and Russia, they just keep sending troops to the front and they're literally being chomped through. And what's happening here is in Gaza is whilst we are all distracted, and we are all distracted, and that Netanyahu has succeeded in that, though we are not distracted in our kind of desire to talk about all of them because they're all interconnected.
It's all the same thing.
Is,
it's Netanyahu's ambitions being realized, and the whole world is helping him for that.
Netanyahu's gamble here, and do you think it's okay? What's your thought on this, Nat? Netanyahu's clearly gambling on the idea that by sending out the propaganda and the line that regime change needs to happen in Iran, the existential threat to Israel, which they've experienced not just from Iran but from Hezbollah, Hamas, the Houthis. We need to make ourselves safe, get rid of that existential threat, and in so making the world a safer place, he eclipses the genocide that he's committed.
The way that whenever he addresses the world in his English, and he says, to the civilized world.
He got a little bit coquettish.
He's a barbarian.
Oh, he's a savage.
You think you did such a good post on that, Mark. You think you have the right to call to the civilized world. You think you're a democracy. Wow.
He thinks he can occupy, as I called it, he thinks he can occupy the civilized zone. Well, what a joke.
And all Arabs, because they're all just one thing, Arabs, just Arabs. You know, what was it in the settlers? I really am very offended when you say the word Palestinian, because I don't believe there's any Palestinians.
Okay, so...
Calm. They're all just a big mass of Arabs.
We've just got two breaking.
He probably thinks Iranians are Arabs. Iranians are not Arabs, just to let people know.
Okay, so 10 minutes ago, Russian President Vladimir Putin says that he's in contact with Israel and Donald Trump. He says that Iranian society is consolidating around its political leadership, and that it would be right to search for ways for fighting to stop and find ways for agreement over Iran. He also added that it would be right to ensure the security of Israel as well as Iran's interests, adding that Russia and Iran would be able to continue work in nuclear energy.
What does that mean?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't like that.
He's placing himself firmly alongside Iran.
But he's also trying to sound like he's up for the Nobel Peace Prize.
Yes, he's suddenly got tickets on himself.
Putin, Netanyahu, and Trump going up the stairs in their ball gowns to collect their Nobel Peace Prizes. Do you know what? We shouldn't be bloody shocked if that happens.
Can I just say something?
There is nothing anymore that we can be shocked about.
Something really odd happened the other day. I've got to ask, has this happened for absolutely anyone else here? We're going to be talking about Tucker Carlson in a minute.
Oh my God, we have
got some corkers.
We have fed on
this
from the cup of Tucker Carlson.
We have drunk from the furry mug.
We have drunk from his furry mug.
Okay. What was I going to know? What was the point I was just about? Oh no! Has anyone else had this moment? I saw an image of Putin on June the 12th, 2 or 3 days ago, and he was laughing really naturalistically. His face was really sort of real. I looked at him for a moment and I genuinely thought this. I thought, I think I'd prefer you in charge.
Netanyahu.
Putin.
Oh God. Wow.
Netanyahu, absolutely no. But bear with me. We are in such topsy-turvy times that the idea of Kim Jong-un riding in on a white steed it's creeping into my nightmares, my dreams.
Do you know, if your house catches fire, right,
Kim Jong-un's
in North Korea, the very first thing you must do before you look for your family or anything is take the picture that you have of him out. And if you don't, for generations, your family will suffer.
Look, Colin's with me.
Any time of day or night, the officers in North Korea can come into your home and they can check with a white glove. And if there is dust on Kim Jong-un's. Did you not hear Trump say on a hot mic? He said, "Oh, if only I could get the same respect." Well, I saw it. You didn't hear.
Well, I saw it.
No, you didn't see it before I did because I woke up early and I saw it. And I told you and you went,
Colin, people may not like Putin, but he's the one keeping the world from nuclear war. I mean, because he could we're in a spectacularly odd scenario, guys. Here's another couple of stories. US embassy staff are evacuating Israel by sea. I think the Israeli authorities have lifted the restrictions on Israelis who want to leave because, of course,
everyone wants to leave.
Keeping Israeli civilians in Israel is tantamount to using them as human shields.
Well, all of their, it's amazing the way all their command centers and everything are right in Tel Aviv, aren't they?
Yes.
Is that fair? I mean, are they using their?
This is a great sort of placard. Dear Israel, the crossed out dear. When you get bombed after bombing 5 other countries, you are not the victim.
No, sorry, you cannot claim it. The crying into the camera is quite extraordinary. You went and attacked brutally and killed civilians and terrified, because you're a terror state, terrified people, and then turned around and went, oh, they're hitting us with missiles. What did you expect?
Yeah, exactly. Don't be distracted. These are just a few things. These are just a few things that are landing on social media.
Gaza for so long, for the last, decades and decades, but over the last 2 years, they've hammered. They've got a screwed up idea of what you can actually do.
No, I tell you, I think it's even more different to that. I think, and I'm not we're being gallows humor. This is dark gallows humor because sometimes a sort of twisted approach to this is what works. They have so flattened Gaza that they now need another culture, another civilization, another people to decimate.
But they're not used to getting decimated back. This is the trouble. They've been so used to the last 2 years of pounding.
And that's not to say, listen,
and so James
O'Brien went to great lengths the other day, and this is a really important thing to say, and I was really pleased he said this. Every single civilian, innocent person that dies is regrettable.
Horrendous.
The point that we're always trying to make is there is no satisfaction just because one doesn't like Israel and seeing anyone get killed. The point here is the value that has been given, and we're going to see in the BBC's analysis of how Israel has dealt with death and how the BBC has portrayed that, there has to be an equivalence. Every single person needs to be equal. And what's astonishing about this crisis, and we're seeing it creep into the coverage of Iran-Israel. Iran is a justified target. The entire Western media and the Western governments, right down to our fucking spineless, gimpy fucking Starmer, are sitting in their little latex-laden rooms, and they're just going, well, of course Israel's got the right to self-defense. Well, hang on a minute. They attacked first.
They attacked. Come on.
They're trying to spin the shot. So Iranian deaths are fine. Israeli deaths aren't. Israelis rushing off to shelters isn't good. At the end of the day, don't be surprised, Israel. You've smashed up the shop. You've smashed up your bedroom.
And you haven't had a response like this. So you're deeply shocked. And I say this all the time. I feel sorry for the Israeli people. They've got a lunatic in charge.
Well, and
he's hugely unpopular.
But a lot of the Israelis I've heard vox popped and taught who have been spoken
100% support.
Not only 100% support, but they've is it Stockholm syndrome? What the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
I mean,
they're very restricted in the news they get. Very restricted.
Don't be distracted,
but
Gaza.
Guess what? They're the only democracy.
That's right, the only democracy. Don't be distracted, though. Gaza is being erased while the media fears Iran, as Western media obsesses over Israel's escalating war, recycling tired tropes of Israeli victimhood. Israel is expanding its genocide in Gaza.
And I just want to say one thing, because I tried to do a post on this on my reel, and I was getting so upset. I don't like to put a post up where I'm like crying or in a mess because, and so I didn't do it in the end, but it's such an important post of a doctor, a pediatrician in Nasser Hospital with a whole room of babies in incubators. And he was like, he was so measured. But he said, not a single drop of formula has got in for these newborn babies, nothing for 4 months. He said, we have a catastrophe in here in 24 hours. We have told you, we have begged you, the time is over. UNESCO, anyone, you have to get the baby formula in here. And guess what? It's going to fall on deaf ears, and that baby formula is not going to get in. And we are so fucking used to these horror stories. Well, we're not, us here. The world is just going to go, just let 20 babies in incubators die. We did it before. Do you remember a year ago when they turned all the gas off? So the incubators, they froze to death. We're going to do it again. Starved to death when just there, the baby formula is in the goddamn trucks. And you know, I tried to do this person. I was either crying or I was spitting rage. And I thought, this is, it is so maddening that we just always have to be so controlled. Whereas I want to go, these babies are dying. And it's not like they're in a drought-ridden country that's bad enough. There's everything. 2 miles down the road, they're throwing barbecues. Don't let these babies fucking die. Starmer, Trump, all of you, Macron, the new one in fucking Canada, all of you giving out your billions to help further madness. So we are brutally still very aware and locked into what's going in Gaza. I can tell you day in, day out, minute by minute, but
You're right.
No, I'm not all right.
And also,
they're going to be dead in the next.
And listen to this. One of the things, and this is why it's really important to have these forums, to talk about these things, to air these thoughts, to look at the lunacy of the situation, to share in the fact that we all feel like we're going mad. We're not going mad. We're not going mad. We're not going mad. The world is trying to send us insane. The world is trying to gaslight us. The world is actually, the mainstream media in this country, and Starmer and Lammy and Rachel Reeves, and they are all grooming us. They are trying to groom us. And
they're giving us this. Israel has the right to defend itself.
And many people have been successfully groomed and are quite happy about that because they don't want to be challenged.
It's just easy.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh God, I thought it was Iran. Oh God, isn't Iran awful though?
Yeah.
I mean, aren't they just like
they're
so fucking racist?
Okay, so I just want to get back to the heart before we move on to why I want to talk about what exactly doesn't Trump know, because he says he doesn't know what he's going to do. When will he know? I don't think any of the top brass Americans know anything about anything. And we're going to show you a few clips here. Tucker Carlson, enjoy these, where he gives Ted Cruz a little bit of a kind of grilling.
This school, I was taught from the Bible, those who bless Israel will be blessed, and those who curse Israel will be cursed. And from my perspective, I want to be on the blessing side of things.
Of those who bless the government of Israel?
Those who bless Israel is what it says. It doesn't say the government of it, says the nation of Israel. So that's in the Bible. As a Christian, I believe that.
Where is that?
I can find it to you. I don't have the scripture off the tip of my. You pull out the phone and use the Google.
It's in Genesis. So you're quoting a Bible phrase. You don't have context for it and you don't know where in the Bible it is, but that's like your theology? I'm confused. What does that even mean?
Tucker.
I'm a Christian. I want to know what you're talking about.
Okay. Where does my support for Israel come from? Number one, because biblically we're commanded to support Israel. But number two,
hold on.
I'm not holding on.
Hold on. You're a senator and now you're throwing out theology, and I am a Christian and I am allowed to weigh in on this. We are commanded as Christians to support the government of Israel?
We are commanded to support Israel. And what
does that mean, Israel?
We're told those who bless Israel will be blessed.
But what, hold on, define Israel. This is important. Are you kidding? This is a majority Christian country.
Define Israel? Do you not know what Israel is? That would be the country you've asked like 49 questions about.
So that's what Genesis, that's what God is talking about.
The nation of Israel, yes.
And so is that the current borders, the current leadership? He's talking about the political entity called Israel?
He's talking about the nation of Israel. Yeah, nations exist, and he's discussing a nation. A nation was the people of Israel.
Is the nation
They're the descendants
God's
of
referring
Abraham.
to in Genesis, is that the same as the country run by Benjamin Netanyahu right now?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Priceless. Because what is the most shocking thing about this conflict is listening to Netanyahu last week, quoting Moses. These guys are quoting and defining foreign policy based on the mythologies
Isn't that
of a
fundamentalism?
text. Yes, of a text. And this presupposes that there is a fixed publication of the Bible. The Bible, the various iterations of the Bible have been edited, have been propagandized, have been changed, have been manipulated, have been altered across time.
When politicians stop quoting the Bible, you know you are in the hands of some real devilish stuff.
Who fancies another hit of Tucker Carlson?
I mean, Tucker Carlson is like a terrible person.
He's
right?
a conservative.
Right?
He supported Trump. Well, no, he was like Joe Rogan, wasn't he? He supported Trump.
Right.
He supports a lot of the America First, Make America Great. He's got this.
Oh, God.
But he's also one of those guys. I was likening him earlier today to Piers Morgan. That I can't bear him most of the time. But when he's hitting for your team, you suddenly want him on your team.
Yes, he is quite Piers Morgan-like, isn't he? Because he goes back.
He goes back.
Yeah.
Here's another one. If you want, here's another one. It's really satisfying. There's a 2-hour chat, which I'm actually going to, sorry, no romance tonight, as I'm going to go to sleep to Tucker Carlson tonight for 2 hours.
Share all of his intelligence with us?
Oh, probably not, but they share a lot. We don't share all of our intelligence with them, but we share a lot. It's a close alliance.
Do they spy domestically in the United States?
Oh, they probably do, and we do as well. And friends and allies spy on each other. And I assume all of our allies spy on us.
And that's okay with you?
You know what? One of the things about being a conservative is that you're not naive and utopian. You don't think humans are all. Part of the reason socialism doesn't work is the mantra from each according to his abilities to each according to his needs doesn't work. As a conservative, I assume people act in their rational self-interest.
So it's conservative to pay people to spy on you?
It's conservative to recognize that human beings act in their own self-interest, and every one of our friends spies on us. And I'm not.
Do you like it? That's my question. I'm not asking whether they have motive to do it. Of course they do. I understand that. And by the way, I'm not mad at them. And you're an American lawmaker, so I just want to know, hold on. I want to know your attitude. Yeah. You said that your guiding principle, in fact, the only principle, the only criterion. I
said guiding, the overwhelming. I wouldn't say only.
Is it in America's interest? Is it in America's interest for Israel to spy on us, including on the president?
It is in America's interest to be closely allied with Israel because we get huge benefits for it. And you want to see the clearest.
But I just want to stop on this line for a second. That it takes place, as you know, and including on the president of the United States and several precedents. And I just want to know if that's okay and why is it okay? Wouldn't an American lawmaker say to a client state, you're not allowed to spy on us? I'm sorry. I know why you want to. I'm not mad at you, but you're not allowed to.
Sure.
And I don't care for it. I don't want to be spied on by you. It's kind of weird not to say that, but you don't seem able to say that.
Wow.
He's very alluring in the way that he kind of destroys him. And this is a final one. I do want to go for this one too.
Don't you find it so
by the way?
I don't know the population.
At all?
No, I don't know the population.
You don't know the population of the country you seek to topple?
How many people living around?
92 million.
Okay. Yeah.
How could you not know that?
I don't sit around memorizing population tables.
Well, it's kind of relevant because you're calling for the overthrow of the government.
Why is it relevant whether it's 90 million or 80 million or 100 million? Why is that relevant?
Because if you don't know anything about the country...
I didn't say I don't know anything about
Okay, what's the ethnic mix of Iran?
They are Persians and predominantly Shia. Okay, this is cute.
It's not even. You don't know anything about Iran. So
okay, I am not the Tucker Carlson expert on Iran.
You're a senator who's calling for the overthrow of the government.
You're the one who
don't know anything about the country.
No, you don't know anything about the country. You're the one who claims they're not trying to murder Donald Trump. You're the
I'm
one
not saying that.
who can't figure out if it was a good idea to kill General Soleimani, and you said it was bad.
You don't believe they're trying to murder Trump.
Yes, I do.
Because you're not calling for military strikes against them in retaliation. And if you really believe that,
carrying out military strikes today.
You said Israel was.
Right, with our help. I said we. Israel is leading them, but we're supporting them.
Well, you're breaking news here because the U.S. government last night denied, the National Security Council spokesman Alex Pfeiffer denied on behalf of Trump that we were acting on Israel's behalf in any offensive capacity.
No, we're not bombing them. Israel's bombing them.
You just said we were.
We are supporting Israel.
High stakes. You're a senator. If you're saying the United States government is at war with Iran right now, people are listening.
Okay. I'm sorry.
How dare he? It's like,
Bravo.
We've only learned about the population of Iran in the last week.
Yeah.
I was really shocked, but I didn't need to know the population of Iran.
No.
But like you said, you want to overthrow the government and you don't know the makeup.
So something that's flown in very big. Right. Oh my God.
What?
It's just enormous.
Oh, what is it? Oh.
I thought it was a...
It's a bloody beetle.
No, I know, but bear with me.
Oh, God, I thought it was a vulture.
Got it. God. I thought it was a bat. If you have bats, you have to protect bats. Anyway, sorry. Tucker, wow. I've got to go and watch the whole interview.
Utterly brilliant.
But once again, it just unpicks the fact that these absolute fucking arsewipes in America in government have not a
That
clue.
tells us everything. That tells us everything that we feared. Because you always think, oh, hopefully there's a grown-up somewhere that's going to sort all this out. And then...
Exactly.
Wow.
They just aren't.
Okay.
I'm just going to go for another update because updates are coming in every 6 seconds. 11 minutes ago, Donald Trump has approved plans to attack Iran yesterday, but has not given the final order to do so. the Wall Street Journal is reporting.
Oh, God.
At a press briefing earlier today, Trump said, I like to make the final decision 1 second before it's due, because things change. So he's approved plans. So that is a massive deal. That's breaking news. The Wall Street Journal 11 minutes ago are essentially saying that he has decided to hit Iran. We are simply waiting for him to do it as a surprise.
He might change his mind last second.
No, I don't think that's what he's saying. I think we can now make sense of his ridiculous earlier quote, which is, I don't know what I'm going to do until I do it. I think what he's saying is he doesn't know when he's going to say what he's going to do.
God.
Because he knows what he's going to do.
Poor Iranians. You horrible, horrible, over-bloated children dressed up as men playing war fucking games. Shame on you.
And Benjamin Netanyahu, if anyone is familiar with Shakespeare, Benjamin Netanyahu is Iago from Othello.
Yeah.
He has been whispering into the ear of and to be brutally honest with you, Trump is a little Othello-like. He's been whispering, except rather than the handkerchief, it's the tie. He's whispered into his ear. He's managed to get him. He's managed to get him to this position where Donald Trump actually, if he goes with this, Tucker Carlson is a good example of this. Trump runs the risk of losing his huge swathes of his MAGA base. He's going for this. If he goes for this
will cost trillions of dollars. This will be a forever war.
I'd go so far as to say, if he goes for this hard, if he does this, and it looks like he's going to, Wall Street Journal reporting, he's probably then going to double down on the civil unrest situation because he's got everything to lose. So that is. Let me just double. I just want to cross-reference.
He loves a double bluff. He loves a double bluff, right?
Next week,
so this could be, let me give something that could be possibly positive, because we've learned this from Trump before. He's under enormous pressure within his administration.
Other breaking news,
within his administration not to do this.
Yeah.
It will split MAGA and all of that. But he never wants to look like he doesn't do the thing he says he was going to do.
No.
And also this could be a bargaining tool to try and get people to do what he wants. That's why it's not till the last second, because he's the only one that makes decisions. Let's hope this is his ego. Just maybe he's not going to do it, but he wants the world to know that right up until the last second, he made the decision, hopefully.
Okay, so the Cobra meeting is obviously our bunch of absolute fucking useless.
God, well, we'll be all right with that.
Wadwats. Basically saying, how are we going to say yes? Yes, of course we'll say yes. We can't say no. The Daily Telegraph always lurching from left to right, looking for a kind of cross-section of kind of legacy media, only because some of the news comes through to them first. UK, look, this is interesting news. 10:26 p.m. The UK joining the war could be illegal, says Attorney General.
But hasn't the Attorney General said already what is illegal, what we're doing with Gaza? Doesn't make any difference. They won't
allow it to be judged, will they? So Keir Starmer has been warned by Lord Hermer that UK involvement in a US attack on Iran could be illegal. Oh my God.
And you are a lawyer.
We know that Starmer doesn't doesn't care much about the legality or illegality of anything, because he's chosen to sidestep the genocide that's before his very face in Gaza. Advice ascribed to the Attorney General is understood to have said that Britain must limit its involvement to protecting its allies from attack. Okay, so we can get involved if we're preventing Americans being attacked. On Wednesday afternoon...
Well, there you go. There's the loophole.
There's the loophole. You're absolutely right.
There's the loophole. There's the stitch up.
Hopeless Lammy is flying over to Washington. So I think it's pretty damn certain that he's going to do it. So he's going to, whether it be just the bunker bombs or whether he's just going to...
I don't think it is certain. I think he can be playing war games again. I think he would not want to look like he's been pressured into changing his mind. He's loving the headlines. He wants to squeeze as many headlines as he can out of this because he's a headline addict. I feel hopeful that this is him pulling up his big pants and showing us all his bum. That's what I hope.
You don't get that kind of analysis anywhere in the legacy media. Thank God.
With a great big candlewick bogey coming down his nose. He's trying. He wants to do what he wants to. Bathe great big horrible sociopathic babies. In my opinion.
Yes. Okay. In other news,
I'm going to lose my mind.
Yeah.
I'm literally going to lose my mind.
Yes. No. I think we're losing it.
We just cannot, world. We cannot let this happen.
We just want to briefly talk about the BBC Gaza report. This is very important. A year-long analysis of BBC coverage of Israel's war on Gaza reveals a pattern of bias, double standards, and silencing of Palestinian voices. Yep. Despite 34 times as many Palestinian deaths than Israelis, Israeli fatalities received 33 times more coverage per death.
And they've always got a name, and it's always skewed so that you'd feel more. So it's a teenager when they're a 19-year-old soldier. Right, but the 5-year-old girl is a lady. You know, so all that language that we've all
we've talked about it. We talked about it before. The way in which Israelis get killed, but Palestinians just drop dead. It's an occupational hazard being a Palestinian.
Yeah, it really is. Just be walking along, having the time of your life, and you just drop dead or lose a leg or lose an arm.
Yeah. Now, Ahmed Al-Nouk.
I had the absolute honour of sitting next to him at Children Not Numbers. Please follow them. That's the charity that I'm an ambassador for. Children Not Numbers. I really appreciate if you follow them on Instagram. And I had the incredible privilege of sitting next to him. I actually feel a bit tearful just as I'm starting to say this because he's a very, very, very intelligent man. He lost on October 20. So he and is it Pat, which they edited this. This is Stories from Gaza. He's a very highly educated man. Got a degree in English literature in Gaza. And in October 2023, he was working here as a journalist and an activist. And a bomb hit his family's house, killing 21 of his family. His brothers, his sisters, his nephews, his nieces, his parents. And he lives with the horrible guilt of being the survivor. And he's an extraordinary man, but I've never felt sadness like it. Never. Sitting next to him, it just oozes out of him. And he's just relentless in his work. And this book, please buy it. It's a really important book. We Are Not Numbers.
And this is a clip of Ahmed at the House of Commons at the hearing, challenging the head of BBC News. The frustration with many of the clips I've seen from this, if you like, putting of questions and challenges to the head of BBC News was I didn't hear him give one meaningful answer. I didn't even hear him answer. I'd like to have known what excuses the BBC had. But
probably why people haven't put any of the answers out is maybe that's an act of activism, because they say the same thing all the time. We're not interested in hearing it. So I see that as activism.
Okay. Yeah, good point.
We're silent.
See, I'm asking a genuine question. Why do you disrespect us here? Saying that you're coming here to listen to us and that you're not being defensive, but everyone knows that you're giving very political questions and you're just being very defensive. Why can't you just say to everyone here in this room that the BBC is a propaganda for Israel? Why can't you say to the world, to us, that you don't like the Palestinians, that you're racist against the Palestinians, that the Palestinian lives don't matter? Why can't you just be true to us? That's my first question. My second question, I really want to understand, and you know that I did not need this report. You did not need to read this report. We all know the coverage of the BBC. I did my master's degree on the BBC coverage, and I've read hundreds of research studies, books, all say that the BBC coverage is very biased to Israel. So we did not need all of this. And you know that Israel, and the BBC is very complicit in this genocide. You know that the blood of the Palestinian people who are dying every day is on the hands of the BBC. So my question to you, how do you and your colleagues sleep at night? Thank you.
That's the question we've asked Ahmed all the way through. How do they sleep at night? How are they going to? Do you want to close the door?
Yeah.
Because it's really distracting. How do they sleep at night? Say, for instance, knowing that a whole ward of babies, and that was just that one ward we saw. So of course, there's hundreds and hundreds more are going to die. Because the baby formula that's over there can't be brought in because Israel doesn't want it to be brought. How can you sleep at night? How can you sleep at night? Over 100,000 people killed, 50,000 children killed and maimed. How do you sleep at night? How do you sleep at night? He's so perfect on that. We know what all your answers are to everything because you've all given us the same answers over and over and over again, fobbed us off. grave concern, concerned, extra concerned, more than concerned.
Everyone's concerned. One thing we do know is that everyone is concerned.
Oh my God, that word.
I mean, everyone.
I swear to God, I can never hear that word again.
Everyone is so concerned. You know what? Fuck your concern. Do something. Even the United Nations, do something. Stop having repeated meaningless votes that that enact no change.
This is what the doctor said today in Nassau Hospital. He said, and this day's so mild, I'd be screaming if that was like, he goes, this is it. We've warned and we've begged and we've said to you over and over again, but here we are. We're at that point. Yeah. It's
the BBC,
24 hours. They need that milk.
The BBC ran nearly the same number of victim profiles for Palestinians, 279, and Israelis, 201 victim profiles, despite 34 times more Palestinian deaths. Whose voices count? The BBC interviewed 1,085 Palestinians, but they doubled that. They interviewed 2,350 Israelis.
And no matter what they are interviewing them on, the October the 7th question takes up half their time as
38 guests asked to condemn Hamas by the BBC. 0 guests were asked to condemn Israel's mass killing of civilians. I mean,
hang on.
Yeah.
0 guests were asked to condemn Israel's
mass
genocide.
Killing of civilians. Yeah.
0.
I mean, if I'm really honest, whilst these statistics are shocking, and they are shocking, I've seen worse examples of the bias than are even kind of represented in these statistics.
0 though, Mark. I
thought
there would have to be some sort of veil there.
There's another journalist here who challenges the head of BBC News. I want to play his clip. It's quite long, so I might cut out of it soon, but I just want to pop some of it up.
Now, you cannot understand of October the 7th without the Handel Directive. I fully understand of that. You've never bothered to tell your viewers and listeners. Now, Haaretz has reported it, Yeriot has reported the Israeli papers, ABC News, the United Nations, but the BBC, I would love to know why you have never reported, never mentioned it once on that. Question number 1. Question number 2. This report reveals that the BBC has only once, in passing, mentioned the Dahia doctrine, and you cannot understand what is going on in Gaza, has been going on for the last almost 2 years, without knowing the Dahia doctrine is an official Israeli doctrine which licenses indiscriminate destruction of civilian assets, including people, in order to terrify the other side into resistance. The BBC has never once mentioned, except in passing, why not? It's a grotesque omission. I would have thought that I would love to get your explanation. We now come on to the fact that to begin with, the BBC scarcely reported the genocidal comments made by the most senior Israeli politicians, including never apparently, according to this report, the Amalek remarks, the genocidal remarks of Netanyahu. So you never educated your audience.
Never educated
and according to this report, on 100 occasions, you've closed down references to genocide by your guests.
And
not educated. That's the BBC's job.
And you've buried a documentary about health workers. How? That is so disgraceful.
It's unforgivable.
Unforgivable.
So the BBC
I don't think the BBC can survive
I don't think it can. Certainly BBC News cannot survive this. And I have to stress once again, I've tuned into the 6 o'clock news bulletins, the 10 o'clock news bulletins, and I've listened to Radio 4. It's like listening to news for viewers of Noddy or Teletubbies. It's so profoundly dumbed down. It's no wonder more and more people are coming to YouTube, to other platforms to get more intense analysis.
They're eating on themselves. They're cannibalizing themselves. They're in echo chambers of all rightness.
Yeah, it's just diabolical. It's absolutely diabolical. I'm just going to go, before we wrap up, I'm just going to go and make sure there hasn't been, here we go. The invisibility or the increasing invisibility of the genocide in Gaza. Just 5 minutes ago, reports say that Israeli strikes have killed another 22 people and injured another 90 sheltering in southern Gaza city of Khan Yunis, the Associated Press is reporting. According to Gaza's health ministry, 144 people have died in Gaza over the last 24 hours.
That's the ones
even
that
as the
you
world's
can know.
attention turns to Israel's new conflict with Iran. Now, I can
never forget those are just the bodies they can count.
Yeah.
Always going to be more than that.
So just to clarify, I know all the numbers on a daily basis. They stick in my head. The daily body count in Gaza has incrementally gone up day after day after day since the Iran conflict has kicked off. So it's getting worse. There are fewer Palestinians left. They're being squeezed into a smaller space, and they are still having to engage in the most hideously barbaric form of Squid Games or Hunger Games to get their food.
And starving babies in incubators. They look just like they're sleeping, but they're actually starving to death. So that's nice, isn't it?
Well, I think we've unpacked a lot there, and it is big news. I mean, I think Nadia is again hopeful that perhaps this is a double con or a double bluff.
I'm looking at it as a mother with a really naughty, spoilt child that can't be told anything. So what you do is you play the game and you go, okay, well, you make the decision, because they also know that it might not work for them, but you can't paint them into a corner. You've got to say to them, well, you make this decision. And I think that's how they might have dealt with Trump.
My hope, and the only thing that makes me think that you could no, but the thing that makes your pinhole a little bit more than a pinhole for me is the thing with Trump is he likes to be loved by as many people as possible. I think if he genuinely thinks this will lose most of his people, most of his support,
MAGA will not like this.
He may well, you're right, want to. Is this the best is this as far as Trump could go to say, I'm going to do it without doing it? Is that what you hope?
Yeah. And, let us not forget, just under a week ago, this was all about the nuclear weapons, right? Within a couple of days, Netanyahu was on telly, Fox News, saying maybe a year, right? And so we moved in under a week to we have to destroy these nuclear weapons to now we're actually in this position that 100% it's a regime change. And he's also convinced Trump that he's got to punish Iran for wanting him dead. So that's where we're at.
I still believe that the false flag narrative as well. A number of people I've noticed. Have you heard about this aircraft carrier they're sending out there, which is due to be declassified and taken out of the army in this year? I don't know, what do they call it when you whatever it is?
Declassified.
Yeah. It's basically going to be retired. This aircraft carrier. A lot of people are suggesting, is it being taken out there so that a false flag cooked up between America and Israel? Because of course, let's not forget, our Attorney General has also said that where we can legally get involved is if we support the Americans. Okay.
I don't believe they're not going to look at a way to use that loophole.
Exactly. Let's send out an aircraft carrier we don't need anymore because it was going to be decommissioned. That's it. Let's then hit it, blow it up, claim it was Iran. Then Britain can come in and defend America, and we can all go to the races.
I mean, of course, this is all thought exercises because we haven't got a bloody clue. But I think why we have to have so many of these mind exercises is because
there have been many.
We just don't believe what they're telling us.
Don't believe a fucking word of it.
How could you looking at it?
I don't believe a word anyone has to say. I don't believe any of the nonsense that comes out of these countries officially. You can believe and hear what comes out of Trump's mouth. That's what we're sort of reporting tonight. So as we go into tonight.
Well, the BBC, that was the pillar of all that is good and great.
Brought us together. If it wasn't for the BBC, we wouldn't be here. Yeah. True.
Well, there's a lot I loved about the BBC, but whoever is running the news, whoever is in charge, what kind of a person is in charge?
Anyway, guys,
there's been a report on that. Look at declassified. If
you haven't, do subscribe. As I say, we will be constantly touching on this story. We are going to be touching upon everything that happens in this conflict, continuing to put our lens over and focus on Gaza. We won't be going away. We won't be shutting up. And this is a community of free-thinking, bright, intelligent, emotional people, and we love you for that. So thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Have a safe evening,
Please
guys.
hit subscribe, and we'll see you tomorrow.
See you in the morning. Bye.